Hey everyone, Reflected here, and today I want to officially announce my newest project, Red Flag 81-2, a campaign for the DCS F-4E Phantom. I already announced it unofficially by showing off all the custom skins that will come with this campaign, and I was blown away by how good you guys are. Many of you hit the nail on the head and figured it out it would be a red flag from the early 80s. Some of you even nailed the exact time. So, what's it gonna be like? We already have a couple of red flag campaigns in DCS, one for the Viper by Bunyap, which I love and played many times. It's very dynamic and well researched, and the documentation is exquisite. There's one for the Mirage 2000 by Baltic Dragon, which I understand is more story driven, although I don't have the Mirage so I never played it. Then we have one for the F-15C where you fly with the aggressors, I think, and some very immersive free single missions by Sedlo, which I highly recommend. All of them taking a different approach on the same subject. So first I asked myself the question, what do I want it to be like? What would be my interpretation? I knew of course that I wanted to recreate every procedure as realistically as possible, down to the smallest details as usual. The devil is in the details. The more details you replicate, the more immersive the big picture is gonna be. I also wanted it to be somewhat dynamic like Bunyap's campaign, but with all the custom voiceovers. And I wanted it to be replayable, so as randomized as possible. But randomization and details are the two opposite ends of the same scale. The more you randomize a mission, the less you can predict what's gonna happen, so the more difficult it is to set up voiceovers or any other details that makes it immersive. It was very difficult, but I still found a way to make it happen. A given threat may pop up sooner or later in the mission, or not at all, where a given AI flight might decide to react to these threats differently. Air-to-ground threats such as Smoky Sams are randomly placed on each replay. You'll never know where they'll pop up next time. These little random factors can heavily influence the success of the mission and ensure that they're fun to replay even for the 5th time. Now of course it all began with extensive research. I watched hours of interviews, documentaries, listened to radio scanners, read all the books, declassified military publications, and even original red flag in-flight guides to familiarize myself with every procedure down to the smallest details. I even had help from some subject matter experts who have been there for real. The targets are precisely where they are in real life. I built them based on satellite imagery. The first task was to choose one specific red flag exercise. Surfing the web, I stumbled upon a fantastic gallery of photos taken of the participants of Red Flag 81-2 by Keith Svensson. From that, I learned which squadrons participated, so I could start working on the skins, as you've already seen in my previous video. The player is going to fly F-4 Phantoms with the 336th Tactical Fighter Squadron, Rocketeers, of the 4th Tactical Fighter Wing from Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, so technically, this will be a sequel to my Debden Eagles campaign. Then you have some Marine Phantoms from VMFA 323, Death Rattlers, F-15As from the 7th Tactical Fighter Squadron, A-7 Corsairs from the 120th DFS, Air National Guard. I know the A-7 is in the making by Flying Iron Simulations. Until that comes, I'll just use F-4 as a stand-in. Then we have A-10s from the 118th Tactical Fighter Squadron, Air National Guard, CF-116 Freedom Fighters from 434 Squadron, Canadian Armed Forces, and some RAF jets. Originally, these were Jaguars from number 31 Squadron, but we don't have those in DCS, so I replaced them with Tornadoes from number 17 Squadron. You will also see some B-52s from the 5th Bombardment Wing, then all the support aircraft, E-3s, KC-135s, C-130s, and UH-1 Hueys. And of course the aggressors from the 64th and 65th Fighter Weapons Squadron. In real life, there was another Marine F-4 unit, another A-7 unit, and 2 F-106 Delta Dart squadrons flying Red Air, but I decided to omit these from the campaign. We don't have Delta Darts, and the missions are already very complex as they are. I had more than enough units to work with. It's not like every squadron flew on every mission anyway. The player will mainly fly air-to-ground missions. You'll have a chance to use all the different ordnance that the F-4 can carry. No two missions will be the same. There will of course be some air-to-air action as well, such as defensive counter-air or escort, or when you get caught with your pants down by the aggressors as you ingress or egress from the range. There will be a total of 13 missions, including an area familiarization at the start, plus some cutscenes. Just like in MiG Killers, you'll have all the interactive checklists that real-life Phantom crews perform: taxi before takeoff, rig check, stabok check, system check, fence-in, descent, after landing. You have realistic battle damage checks and arming areas. There's a couple of new features in this campaign too. Both you, or your AI lead, whoever is leading that day, will use control inputs to order the flight to take up different formations, such as tack spread, or back to route, or echelon left or right. Oh, and also hand signals where applicable. Just like in real life, you don't want to clubber the frequency unnecessarily. I will demonstrate it all in a separate video. The documentation will be extensive and period correct. I got my hands on some original navigation charts from the 80s, so I prepared kneeboard maps that look exactly like the real deal. These will be your best friend, navigating at 300 feet over the desert floor, looking at your stopwatch, making sure you hit your time on target. It's so much fun. Oh yes, you don't only have to hit your target, but you need to do it at the brief time. But because I have a really soft heart, you'll have plus minus 20 seconds to do it. You'll also get a period correct in-flight guide, just like real life crews did. It's kind of a rule book. It has all the procedures, frequencies, and everything you need to know about operating around Nellis. And just like in real life, you will be expected to read it and fly accordingly. You can ignore them of course, but then you'll get chewed out at the debrief. This brings us to the next cool feature. Debriefs are one of the most important parts of the red flag exercise in real life, so I wanted to find a way to replicate this in-game too. I established a few metrics that indicate the success of the mission, and once you shut down your engine, you will see a chalkboard with how you did that day. Whether you survived or not, hit the target, met your time on target, managed your fuel properly, followed all the procedures, etc. I will make a separate video where I'll explain it all in detail. It's great because if you don't care, you can just John Wayne your way through the mission and still progress. Where's the fun in that? But you'll need to work really hard to achieve 100% at the debrief. Many of you are surely asking, what about area refueling? Well, it will be optional, not mandatory. You will carry 2 external wing tanks, and if you're reasonable with the throttle, you can make it back to Nellis with more than the required emergency minimum. But if something unexpected happens and you use more fuel than you would have liked, you can choose to hit the tanker on your way home. You need to make a responsible decision because it will also be part of your debrief. If you keep the burners on and then don't have enough gas to RTV, don't blame the mission. By the way, I never had to refuel during testing so far. Those who have never seen any of my other videos might ask, hey, is this going to be multiplayer or multi-crew compatible? Nope. Let me repeat myself for the 100th time. 1. The DLC campaign system does not support more than 1 player. 2. Half of the triggers and scripts I had to use to make all this happen are not available in multiplayer mode. A multiplayer mission needs to be way more simplified to work. And number 3, I'm a single player campaign developer. Like it or not, it's what it is. If you're about to start typing a comment starting with, but why? I suggest you rewind this video a little bit until it all sinks in. So, this is going to be a study level single player campaign for those who want to experience what it was like to participate in the red flag exercise in the early 80s. For those who want to deep dive into all the details, geek out on all the procedures, to find out what real life pilots went through, navigating between the ridge lines, one eye on the map, the other on your stopwatch, the third one looking for rocks and bandits trying to meet your time on target and stay alive. If you're looking for fun, quick missions, you're looking at the wrong place, pal. This is for those who want to get as close to the real deal as is possible within the constraints of a flight simulator. Alright, that's it for now. Please subscribe and stay tuned for further videos where we'll deep dive into all the cool features. I hope you're as excited as I am. Let me know what you think in the comments. See ya!